Hello and welcome back to the Canadian Film Fest. My name is Mark Shodia. I'm one of the programmers here, and I am joined by the director of The Noise of Engines, Philippe Gregoire. Philippe, thanks for being here.
Hello, Amar. Thanks for having me and having the movie at the festival.
Yeah, I have to start by congratulating you on your multiple Canadian Screen Award nominations, including a nomination for Best Director and Best First Feature Film. So, how are you feeling about that?
Oh, I was very surprised by that because, to be honest, I was crossing fingers for best first feature film. So this is the
Mhm.
one I was looking and hoping for. But
Yeah.
then, I went into I remember going into the Academy page, and I look for for search. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so I think I wrote The Noise of Engines, and then I saw three results. And I was
Uh-huh.
okay, what are the other two? Or I looked
Yeah.
really fast, and I was like very surprised by that. And so it's been
Amazing.
a very good news, and I hope, because we just released the movie in Quebec
Mhm.
last week and on Friday, and I was thinking that, yeah, maybe this is going to help and to attract people and being more interested into this movie. So crossing finger for that, but I'm very pleased for that, and it's good for the team, and we're now hoping that we could get the opportunity to make a second feature film together.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. You mentioned that you just released it in Quebec. I'm curious what the response has been like because I imagine people that are from Quebec are going to react to it differently than people across the rest of Canada. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about, if you've heard any of the response to the film.
Yeah, because I had the opportunity to share the movie in film festivals in many different countries, and I had no idea how people in Quebec were going to react to it.
Yeah.
And it's been very good. I mean, the medias were good, the critiques are good on the movie, so I was like, okay, this is great. But also looking at like people asking questions and coming to see me after the movie, what I'm seeing from social medias, it's been good for the movie. Also, I mean, it's a movie that I've made thinking that it's gonna divide people in a way, because
Mm,
I'm going into some places that are I'm not holding by the hand the people that are watching the movie. I'm letting them go and trying to find their own way. So I was thinking, yeah, some people are gonna hate it, some people are gonna love it. It's gonna divide, but in the end, it seems like more people are loving it than the opposite.
yeah, no, it's fantastic, and I mean, I guess that's a good segue to talk about the film specifically. What's so great about it is um, it feels like a personal and intimate story because Alexander is thinking about his place in this town, right? But the film is also thinking about Canada as a whole and its relationship to the rest of the world. So I'd love to hear about, what was the inspiration for these themes and why did you want to make this as kind of your first feature film?
Yeah, I could start with talking about that was my thinking of writing your first feature film. This is something new, but I was asking questions. Um, why should I make a movie? There are so many good movies right now for people to watch, so why am I someone important to think that I could write something that has some value or that some people could watch in cinema or at home? And then I started to think, well, if I'm talking about something I know really well, about something I went through, and something that is closely related to me, then suddenly I could have some reason to talk about it, and I would be the one knowing how to talk and how to deal with that. So that was part of the process, and the thinking, or what am I going to be good at talking about or writing about, and also talking about I knew this movie was made for film festivals. I'm a big cinephile myself. I go to many film festivals. Whenever I have the opportunity, I go and watch movies, and I like it when I get to see some countries that I know some of their stories, or but I get to feel from the inside, and this is the filmmaker is sharing me his idea of how it is to evolve
Mm,
in this country. So that was I was thinking, let's talk about Canada in a way that maybe is people are they don't know much about it, and they're going to be curious on it. So
mhm.
I wanted to do that as well, because I mean, everyone has an idea what Canada is, but let's get closer into that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think I read somewhere that there's some semi-autobiographical elements about the story for you. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I was thinking of what am I going to write about, I was thinking that let's write about something I know. And I, as a filmmaker student, I was to pay for my tuition fees. I was working as a part-time agent for Canada Customs, and I grew
Oh
up very,
wow.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I grew up very like
So
this.
you're very close to the film in a way.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
grew up like this hometown
Yeah.
that that like this place that I'm filming. This is
Yeah.
my hometown. The only thing we have is a drag racetrack. This is the only thing we have. So I
Wow.
added that into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All of my short films have been shot in my hometown. But I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like this only thing all the people know about this little place is this racetrack. And I was thinking on my first feature film, this could be like the good moment to go there and film it and have some shots of it. So this is something that was like I wanted to talk about, and also like I said, I knew exactly what it was to be a custom agent. And during the week I was going for like to film school, and the only reason I got this summer job was because I grew up very close to it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like very closely related to my past personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some other things that I could add. That I mean, the Icelandic race car driver is coming from my past experiences going to film
Really?
festivals. Yeah, in
Oh, okay.
Europe, I
Wow.
was going to film
Oh,
festivals, and
okay. Wow.
we were exchanging on the how is it to make movies in Austria, how is it to make movies in Canada, and it made me feel that hearing these people talking about their countries and talking about mine made me realize that these are social distinctions by our countries, that why we're like adding money into cinema, how are we dealing with cinema. And it made me think of myself. And so Alexandre, when he's hearing or exchanging with Adel Björk, the race car driver from Iceland, it makes him think of his own relationship to
Mm-hmm.
his country and where he's from and what he could do in the future.
Right. I want to ask you a little bit about um, something that you mentioned, and maybe it's a little early in your career to ask you this question, but you talked about how all your short films are set in your town as well.
Mhm.
I'm curious about uh, do you feel like you're done exploring your hometown, or do you feel like it's going to keep coming up in future films as well, because it's so specific, and the film is so deeply thinking about this place as a space and all these sort of cornerstones that Alexander is going through? I mean, Stephen King has spent his whole career writing books that are set in Maine. So, it's certainly possible that you could be making films about your town for your whole life. But I'm curious to hear about um, what your relationship, how it's changed as you've explored that in narrative terms.
Yeah, it's a question that my friends from my hometown were asking me, so saying, "Yeah, it's funny now that you're making a short film here. It's funny that oh, now it's funny that you made your first feature film here." And I was telling them, You know what? I'm not gonna move, even though now I've been living in Montreal for a little more than 10 years. My parents still live there, and whenever I'm thinking of writing something, it always happens where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening in Montreal. So yeah, this question is exactly you're on target with that. I'm not gonna move. Again, I'm researching on my next feature film, and the way I work is I go there in my hometown, these little
Mm-hmm.
places, and I take pictures, and I
Mm-hmm.
start to think of like I look at the pictures and think, okay, so I have this story that I'd like to build, and how could I use these places in this story? So it's really a mix of going back to the images, going back to the script, so back and forth. So that's very important. This is part of what I want to do. And like when I was young, I was thinking that no one would ever come here to shoot, and I was like to make a movie or anything. So I'm responsible to do it, because if I don't do
Mm-hmm.
it, no one will ever go there.
But it's crazy to think, because some of the locations are so incredible, and that's kind of it's a testament to your visual treatment of the film. And I think that I that can lead me to another question that I wanted to ask you about. It's a film that's made on an indie budget, but it looks fantastic. The cinematography is great, the production design is great, the visual economy you're kind of using when you're picking your shots is fantastic. For the filmmakers out there who are listening, I was wondering if you could talk at all about, or if you could offer any advice in terms of um, what what are the best ways to use your budget most effectively? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that it, like, to me, the script is very important. I try to put a lot of emphasis on um, developing and taking the time that is needed to make sure that when you're writing the script, you have all the elements that you're ready. Like people are gonna read the script, and and when the like I mean when once I have the final version of the script, I'm ready to shoot. I
Mm,
know everything. I know where I want to shoot it. I know how the characters are gonna get dressed. I know, like, I tend to know like 90% of the movie from there. And also it gives you a so working with a very small budget, you start to think of it very fast. And so you're thinking like, I have to bring the camera at places that, like, I'm gonna fight against movies that are made with 10 millions of dollars. So I have to bring places that are good for cinema, or cinema, like, are possible, that they could be a cinema experience that could happen there. So this is something that I tend to start to think about it very from the beginning, and this is very
mm,
important to me. So I would say anyone wanting to do a movie with a very small budget, think of all the things that you could do before that you have to convince people to get into your movie. Because I mean, the script is that's your first element, to convince people and to bring them onto your movie, and that was very important. That helped me a lot on bringing people and believing that we could do something good, even though we didn't have that much money to do it.
mm. Um, yeah, that's great. And I think that this is a good way for us to talk about the cast of the film as well. Um, Robert's done a bunch of acting before, and he's fantastic as the lead, and so is Tanya. But I'm curious about how you came to find them in their work, and even the other cast members in the film, because it's filled with such great characters.
Yeah, but this is something that you don't have to be afraid of, because I knew I needed an actor that was very talented, but also had a lot of experience. Because we were shooting, we had not many days of shoot, and I had absolutely no days of rehearsal. So I just
Really,
met.
how many days did you shoot?
In the end, I think it was 21, because we
21.
added up 2 days at the end, because in like we were shooting in during fall season, and then we shot like after that during springtime for 2 days. So something like that, 21 or 22. But also, I mean, in Iceland, we were there for 4 days.
Yeah.
But in Iceland, the like we could shoot between 10:30 and 3:30, because of the
Mhm,
we were shooting in November, and there's not that
mhm.
many sunlights
Hours,
where
yeah.
when you can shoot. So and yeah, and working with Robert Naylor and Tanya Bjork. I mean, Robert. So he was well known. He's a child actor. He grew up into that. So I knew that working with him, and I knew his work, that he would be super fast on dealing with adjusting to the tone we were looking for. So that was something that I was really looking for. And all these actors and actresses, like I do remember at first, like on their first day of shoot, they were a little, okay, where are we heading? But they could
Mm,
adapt super fast, and this is what they did. Like in four, like like on the first one, like let's say on the first take, we were so far away, but then we could build from that. And I do
mhm,
remember, like on the fourth takes, I was like, yeah, we're getting closer, and then we could had it very
mm.
fast. So that was a good decision, thinking of working with people that are used to be in front of a camera and that are very talented as well.
Okay, fantastic. Um, we're running very short on time, so I'm just going to ask you one more question. There's a very strong directorial voice in the film, so I'm just curious to hear from you about um, what your cinematic influences are. You mentioned Andre Forcier in the film, which I thought was great. But I'd love to hear about what are particular filmmakers or styles that you gravitate towards.
Yeah, so making, like, on my first, like on my short films, I do remember thinking, okay, how does that director would do with that? How would they deal, and then on this one, I was thinking, I want to learn from this experience. If I want to learn, I have to take decisions that are mine, and which, like, on this, like, I'm gonna based on, I'm not sure on where I'm going, but I'm gonna learn. If I'm taking the decisions and I know why I'm taking it, if I'm doing right or wrong, then I'll learn from it.
Mm,
So on many occasions, I wasn't sure. So I wasn't trying to like emulate some film directors that I knew, but when I think of it, there are some film directors that are obviously important to me and that I enjoy a lot watching their work. And one of them I've been talking is Bruno Dumont. His
Mhm.
series on Arte is Petit Quinquin. And this is like he's always like he grew up in this whole like in this agricultural region of France, and this is something that I could relate to. You always have like these police officers in his movies, and this is something that I enjoy, like this little tone that is a little awkward, different. But also, I mean, I've been reading on people telling, oh, this movie looks a little like Quentin Dupier's work, and I was like, oh yeah,
Mm.
okay, well, I totally enjoy Quentin Dupieux, but I never thought of it when I was doing
Right,
it.
right.
So that was something surprising to me. People are saying Aki Kaurismäki, Roy Anderson, because of the
Mhm.
wide shots.
Mhm.
But I couldn't say that I was trying, or I don't even remember talking about Kaurismäki or Roy Anderson, even though I knew their work and
Mhm.
I knew that people were going to talk about it, but I tried to be honest and being like, well, this is the way I see the movie. Well, it's great now to hear those names that people are saying are bringing
Yeah, the
comparisons.
comparisons can't hurt. Okay, so unfortunately, we've run out of time. But Philippe, I want to thank you again for bringing your film to the festival. We think you're very talented, and we can't wait to see where you're going to go. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Amal. It was nice talking with you, but also I hope that people will enjoy the movie at the festival.
I think they will. Okay, bye now.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest.